Okay, so hello my dear students. So welcome to the part 2 of our discussion for week 1 to 2 Uloa, which is Introduction to Transfer Taxes. So in our first video, we have discussed the basic concepts of succession, what are the elements of succession, the kinds of succession, and we focus more on the testamentary succession. So in this video, we'll continue to discuss some concepts relative to testamentary succession. Then we'll discuss na din in detail the intestate or legal succession. Now, to continue with the testamentary succession, so let's discuss disinheritance. Okay, so when a person expects or is expected to inherit but does not, the person is said to be disinherited. Disinherited ito ha. So, a compulsory heir may, in consequence of disinheritance, be deprived of his legitimate, no? For some causes expressly stated by the law. So, later, enumerate natin. So, what are the causes, no? Para ma-disinherit yung isang compulsory heir. So, disinheritance can be effected only through a will wherein the legal cause therefore shall be specified. So, dapat specified yung ano yung cause for disinheritance, no? So since, of course, patay naman ang testator, then the burden of proving no, the truth of the cause for disinheritance shall rest upon the other heirs of the testator, no? If the one na disinherited or yung compulsory heir na disinherited, um, i-deny no yung accusation no or yung cause for disinheritance. So disinheritance without specification of the cause or for a cause the truth or which if contradicted is not proved or which is not one of those set forth in this code, yung mga causes shall annul the institution of heirs insofar as it may prejudice the person disinherited, so yung affected. But the devices and legacies, no, and other testamentary dispositions shall be valid to such extent as which will not impair the legitimate. Okay? So, ano yung mga grounds, no, for this? Actually, medyo same lang some of the grounds between grounds for disinheriting your children or descendants, the grounds for disinheriting the parents or ascendants, and then yung grounds for disinheriting the spouse. Okay? So, let's start with ano yung mga sufficient causes, no, for disinheriting children or descendants. Okay? First, when a child or descendant has been found guilty of an attempt against the life of the testator, his or her spouse, descendants, or ascendants. Okay? And so, medyo daghan-daghan siya na causes, no? So, I will not further elaborate each cause ha. So, when a child or descendant has accused a testator of a crime or which the law prescribes imprisonment for 6 years or more, and then yung accusation has been found groundless. Okay? And then, when a child or disinheritance has been convicted of adultery or concubinage with the spouse of the testator, and then when a child or descendant by fraud, violence, intimidation, or undue influence causes the testator to make a will or to change one already made. Ground din yun. A refusal without justifiable cause to support the parent or ascendant who disinherited such child or descendants. And then, maltreatment of the testator. Ito siya, no? By word or by deed. Word or deed by the child or descendant. Yan. So, when a child or descendant leads a dishonorable or disgraceful life. And lastly, conviction of a crime, which carries with it the penalty of civil interdiction. Okay? So, these are the grounds for disinheritance of children or descendants. So, next we have grounds din no, for disinheritance of a parents or ascendant. So, some are medyo same siya with the so I'll just highlight some na um wala sa yung ground sa yung causes na wala sa descendants. So when the parents have abandoned their children or induced their daughters to live a corrupt or immoral life or attempted against their virtue, yan. So, yan. The loss of parental authority for causes specified in this code. Yan, the refusal to support the children or the sentence without justifiable cause. And ito, an attempt of by one of the parents against the life of the other, unless there has been reconciliation between them. Yan. Lastly, ito yung mga grounds for disinheriting a spouse. So, i-highlight ko lang yung hindi same dun sa previous na mention. When the spouse has given cause for legal separation. Yan. Then when the spouse has been given grounds for the loss of parental authority and unjustifiable support the children of the other spouse. Okay, so we'll discuss na the legal or intestate succession. So, if a person dies na wala nagbili ng last will and testament, of course, ma-follow, it will follow ang law, mahimo siyang intestate succession or legal succession. So, if a person dies without leaving a will, the person is said to have died intestate, so a status known as intestacy. So, kanus amay na ay legal or intestate succession. So, first, if a person dies without a will, kung nagbili naman siya will, void ang will, or it has lost its validity. Yan. Second one, when the will does not institute an heir to or dispose of the property belonging to the testator. Or meaning to say, na ay part sa property, no, na wala na appeal sa last will and testament, no, mahimo siyang mixed succession, di ba? Kasi katong na-include sa last will and testament or ma-follow ang last will and testament, of course, then becomes testamentary. For those wala na-include sa will, then ma-follow mahimo siyang intestate succession. So, yun siya. Or, if the suspensive condition attached to the institution of heir does not happen, no? So, murabag, di ba? Pag suspensive condition, the happening of the event will give rise to the obligation. Meaning to say, so, pag naay condition, then, mahitabo ang condition, then, ma-follow ang last will and testament, ma-follow ang will. Pero, if the condition kay wala na hitabo or does not happen, or dili fulfilled, then, dili valid. To, diba? Dili valid or dili sunod ang nasa last will and testament. Diba? Then, it becomes intestate succession. Or, if the heir dies before the testator. Yan siya. So, kung nauna namatay katong heir na binla niya o property based sa yung last will and testament. Okay? Or, na-will na nag-reproduce yung inheritance na niya gidawat, there being no substitution and no right of accretion takes place. Yan. Or, when the heir instituted is incapable of succeeding, no, except in this case as provided in the code. Okay? So, in the default of testamentary heirs, the law vests the inheritance in accordance with the rules wherein set forth. So, may mga order of intestate succession. So, kung sa testamentary we have compulsory heirs, we also have kanang order of intestate succession, no? And then, in the legitimate and illegitimate relatives of the deceased in the surviving spouse and in the estate. No? So, In every inheritance, the relative nearest in degree excludes the more distant ones. Ito, mas ma-emphasize natin to sa mga illustrations later, no? Saving the right of representation when it properly takes place. No? Meaning to say, for as long as na mga relatives nearest in degree, no? Sila tong may right sa inheritance, dili ma-appeal to mga relatives na medyo layo. No? Layo yung mga relatives. Okay, so relatives in the same degree shall inherit in equal shares, subject to provisions of Article 1006 with respect to relatives, whether full blood or half blood, and Article 987, paragraph 2, concerning division between the paternal and maternal lines. Okay, so proximity of relationship is determined by the number of generations. No, so later sa illustration, discuss natin saan pag-ihap ng degree. No? Pila ka degree, pila ka degrees apart, no? Then, a series of degrees form a line which may be either direct ascending or direct descending. Yan, ascending meaning from parents down your grandparents. Descending meaning down to your anak, to your apo, no, yun siya. And then collateral lines, no? So a direct line is constituted by the series of degrees among ascendants or ascendants and descendants. So a collateral line is constituted by the series of degrees among persons who are not ascendants or descendants. Pag collateral, okay, so a collateral line is that constituted by the series of degrees among persons who are not ascendants and descendants. So collateral meaning the brothers, the sisters, the nephews, and nieces. Yung mga collateral relatives natin. Okay? Okay, so we have also right of representation. So representation is a right created by fiction of law by virtue of which the representative is raised to the place and degree of the person represented and acquires the right which the latter would have if he were living or if he could have inherited. Mean to say, instead na that person kay na ay right sa inheritance pero nauna siya namatay, no? So katong supposedly right niya na ay mo represent. So we'll discuss that through illustration later, okay? So the right of representation takes place in direct descending line. So katong ang may right of representation katong pa-ascend, meaning imuhang anak, no? Meaning kasi ang mo represent sa imuhang share is imuhang anak or apo. Yan. But never in the ascending, no? Okay, so in the collateral line, it takes place only in favor of children of brothers or sisters, whether they be full blood or half blood. Okay, so to further discuss that concept, let's have this illustration. Okay, yan siya. Okay, so in this illustration, we have A and B here. So mag-asawa ni si A and B. Nasa anak si C o si D. Diba? Si C o si D. So C and D are siblings. Okay, they have a common parent, si A and si B. Okay, si C na pangasawa si E and si B na pangasawa si F. Okay, yan siya. So G is the daughter of C and E. No? So si C and E nasa lidwa ka anak si G o si H. Okay, then si D and F naman nagliswa anak si I o si J. So si G naminyo kay K. Then si J naminyo kay L. Okay, so yun lang iyari. Okay, so and then si G and K naman nag-anak si M. And si J and L nag-anak si N ilahang anak. Okay? So A, C, G, and M, no, are in that order are relatives in the direct descending line. So relatives sila in the direct descending pababa, no? Meaning A, C, G, M. direct descending line. So, A to C is 1 degree, no? A to C, 1 degree, and another, isa lang po ka degree between C and G, and then another degree from G to M. So, meaning, between A to M, may tulo ka degrees, no? A to C, C to G, and G to M. So, there are three degrees apart. No? So, kung baliktad ta, pasaka ta, for example, J, D, and B, no? J, D, and B. So, that's ascending line, no? Ascending line siya. So, pwede na ba ito siya ihapon, no? Ang degree niya, N to J, isa ka degree, J to D, isa ka degree, then D to B, isa ka degree, no? That's direct ascending line. Okay? Yan. CGM are relatives of DJN in the collateral line. Okay, so kumbaga, so kani sila si CG ug M, kani sila si DG ug N, mga collateral relatives ni sila. Okay? Yan siya. So even si C ug si D who are brothers or siblings, diba? Collateral relative na sila, okay? So, between, naman, si G o si J, no, diba, they are first cousin, or si H o si I, first cousin na sila. So, pila ka degrees na sila apart, diba? No? Kung mag-ihap ka, for example, padulong kay G o kay J, they are mag-first cousin. Mag-first cousin sila because their parents are siblings, diba? Yan. So, G to C, C to A to D, D to G. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. They are 4 degrees apart. Yan siya. And then, kumbaga, pag umangkon ni D, si G o si H. Pag umangkon ni D, si G o si H. Then, as well as si C, pag umangkon niya si I o si J. Yan. So, si M naman o si N, they are mag-second cousin. Diba? No, mag-second cousin na sila. Pila ka degree sila apart. So, M to G, 1. G to C, 2. C to A, 3. A to D, 4. D to G, 5, J to N, 6. So, pag second cousin na di I, that's 6 degrees apart. Yan. So, say for example, no, si C mamatay ahead of A. So, if C dies ahead of A, so, di ba, pag mamatay na si A, so nauna kamatay si C, mamatay na either si A or si B. So, di ba, supposedly, kung buhi si C, na siya right, na siya inheritance kay A or kay B. No? So, since nauna magnamatay si C kaysa kay A, no, pwede i-represent ni G o ni H. No? Pwede i-represent ni G o ni H ang supposedly ma-receive ni C. That's the right of representation. Okay? Okay, so we'll discuss the order of intestate succession. Okay? So, ang order, no, sa intestate succession, so first we have the descending direct line, or yung legitimate children or descendants. And then second, we have the ascending direct line, the parents and descendants. Then the third one are the illegitimate children or descendants. The fourth one, the surviving spouse. Then, sunod, the collateral relatives. And then, sunod, the collateral relatives within 5th degree of consanguinity. And then, sunod is the ST. Okay? So, first, let's discuss yung table. First, ito. What if ang survivor lang are the parents and the legitimate children, the descendants and the ascendants, no? Then, um, non-surviving yung illegitimate children and surviving spouse. So, take, di ba, as our rule kanina, no? In every inheritance, the relative mirrors in degree excludes the more distant ones. That's why excluded ito sila. Excluded. Okay? Yan siya. So, same rule din. So, if my legitimate children or my descendants, even if nag-survive yung parent or um, um, walang share ang parent, i-exclude siya sa inheritance. So, in this case, no, the entire estate will be inherited, no, ma-inherit siya sa mga anak. Okay? So, the second case naman, ito, ang survivor is the parent, the isang anak, tsaka asawa. No? So, again, exclude dito sila lahat. So, unahan to mga nearest degree. No? So, same, wala pa rin share si parent kasi may anak man. So, mangyari, one half sa children, or one half sa child, sorry. One half sa child and one half sa asawa. Okay? If, dalawang anak, okay, so, again, if two or more children na, in this case, we have two children. So, kumbaga, isang anak, isang unit. So, dalawang anak, tsaka isang asawa. So, 3 units na. Kumbaga, paghati is 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Okay? So, assuming ito na walang illegitimate children. And of course, though my parent or nag-survive yung parent, excluded si parent. So, if in case, tatlong anak, then, 3 children plus 1 spouse. So, 4 units yung maghati. So, it becomes 1/4, 1/4. 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4. Yan siya. Okay? So, letter D naman, walang descendants. Then, walang illegitimate. Then, wala ding surviving spouse. So, the entire estate mga to sa parent. Since wala may descendants din, di ba? Magka-share lang ang ascendants pag wala descendants. So, again, excluded ito lahat. Okay, so, next we have other survivors are the parent, the illegitimate children, and the spouse. So, ang mangyari, 1/2 sa parent, 1/4 sa illegitimate children, 1/4 sa spouse. So, what if walang descendants at walang ascendants? Ang naalang is illegitimate children and then the spouse. So, again, 1/2 sa illegitimate children, then 1/2 din sa spouse. Okay? Ito naman, pag walang descendants, walang ascendants, walang legitimate children, so the entire estate kay maado sa asawa. Okay? Ito, age, i-check ko lang to sa i-check ko to sa reference, parang I think mali ito, ang age, no? Kasi parang same lang siya sa G, pero bakit may share yung brother and sister? So, kasi magka-share lang yung brother and sisters if wala ang spouse. Or walang spouse, wala yung illegitimate children, walang parent, and walang descendants. So, the entire is maato sa brothers, sisters, nephews, and nieces. So, yung collateral relatives, yung up to 4th degree of consanguinity. Yan siya. Okay? So, if walang brothers, sisters, nephews, and nieces, na, yun siya, no? Wala siya. Then, yun nga, the entire estate maato sa other collateral relatives within 5th degree of consanguinity. And then, if wala pa rin yun lahat, then, the entire estate kay maato sa estate. Okay, so that ends our part 2, no? So, thank you.